Zambia is a challenging place to live in. Poverty is high, income inequality is one of the worst in the world, and according to the Southern Africa Federation for the Disabled, life here is especially difficult if you have a disability.
People in Zambia and many other countries have a notion that persons with disabilities probably cannot do anything, or they are not usable, okay, or they cannot stand on their own.
But there are some people challenging those notions and fighting hard to make life a little bit easier for people who, at the end of the day, were just born differently. And 27-year-old Ian Banda is one of those fighters.
This is where I grew up. We came here in Kanyama in 1998, where we are a family of 5, 4 boys, 1 girl.
So this is where your disease?
Yeah, so this is where the Center of the Youth in Action Disability Inclusion of Zambia is. Our goal is to attain equal and full participation for youth with disabilities in all aspects of life.
Since the foundation's inception in March of this year, about 86 people have joined Ian's movement, and close to 200 disabled people across the country have been helped with various issues.
Dizi yanithandiza kuzuwa kugumana na mayouthi because sinizozwa very once about youth advocate, so at least panapezeka muri ya dizi nazwa kuti kupezeka na mayouth ma benefit amene yalimo ni chamunshi kupezeka na mayouth, so at least tingala pamozi sharing my ideas.
Yeah, this has helped me in terms of learning and knowing my rights, and in so many ways that I can able to do some projects, the rights to work, rights to education.
Yes.
Ian's journey to get to where he is today was nothing but challenging.
I used to go to a very far place of school, of which for me required to go with an assistant, and that time the buses were not accessible for me as a person with a disability using a wheelchair, which required for someone to be lifting me all the time whenever I'm going to do my school programs. We had no teachers, special teachers to be trained on special education, and also the fact that with my disability, I used to be very slow when it comes to writing in class. It wasn't easy for me to accept myself, and the fact that I used to feel bad because people used to feel pity for me, of which I wasn't comfortable with. Every time they would look at me, and I would even see that they're talking about what caused me to have this type of disability. Was it maybe an ancestral spirit, or maybe was it witchcraft? So that made me not be comfortable with myself.
It was these kinds of experiences that drove Ian to become an activist at just the age of 13. Day in and day out, even in his youth, Ian passionately spoke of the rights that people with disabilities should be entitled to.
Children and youths who are female have been sterilized without their knowledge of consent to avoid them having pregnancies. Participation, play culture and recreation. Participation, play culture and recreation are a stimulant factor for the development of growth and of all children. When children with disabilities are denied this, this begins from their homes and it is worsened in the community and worsened still in the schools.
Disability is not inability. They can also contribute to the welfare of this country at large. And one thing which I've observed is self-acceptance is the most important thing.
And despite the challenges Ian faced in his youth, he persevered, excelled in high school, and went on to study insurance and IT. But regardless of his qualifications, all that employers could see is his disability.
They just gave an excuse of saying the workplace wasn't accessible for me, with the fact that I'm using my wheelchair and all the work premises had stairs for me to do my work program at that area. And I came back just sitting home. As for now, I'm still keeping applying for a job.
So what's going on here?
So here we are having a training workshop. We are trying to educate our fellow youths with disabilities to be aware on some of the rights that they have in line with the that Zambia enacted the Persons with Disabilities Act of number 6 of 2012. So apart from the disability right training, we also have leadership programs and economic empowerment programs, where we discuss on some of the issues that hinder persons with disabilities to participate in their community activities.
Give me specific scenarios or specific examples where you helped someone, like a specific issue.
So there was a scenario whereby a child with a disability was looking for a nearby government school, of which he was denied with the fact that the school didn't have a special education teacher, and also the school wasn't accessible for a child using a wheelchair with a disability.
So how did you help that person?
So we helped the child with a disability. The fact that I was informed by the headmaster that I should come after a week. They consult from the Ministry of Education on how they can help with that child with a disability. And then also we are discussing about the domestication in the local law, which is the Persons with Disabilities Act of number 6 of 2012. Of which yesterday I was trying to summarize it so that we make everyone understand on what are some of the rights that us youths with disabilities have. So start with the first one. The first one talks about the right to life, liberty and security of persons. Even as youths with disabilities, there's need to be recognized equal before the law. Number 3, freedom from torture, which is Article 15. And then number 4, freedom of exploitation, violence and abuse. As persons with disabilities in our communities, we are not supposed to be abused or exploited to violence. It's also part of our human rights. And then we also have a right to live in our communities as part of our human rights. We also have a right to health, right to education, right to work and employment, right to participate in political and public life, and also right to participate in cultural life, which is part of our human rights.
Ian's immediate goal is to get enough partners to support his vision financially in hopes of creating an inclusive society for all.